Today, Arts 24 is at one of Paris's most legendary live music venues.
This has been our dream. Like, I came here in 2018, I saw this building, the red letters on the front of the building, and the beauty of the red chairs is so France, it's so beautiful. And I was like, the dream is Ezra Collective to play here.
The first jazz act to ever win a Mercury Prize. Ezra Collective are one of the UK's most exciting improv groups, blending jazz with Afrobeat, reggae and soul. The quintet released their third album this autumn, a mission statement to bring dancing back to jazz. Femi and TJ, hello.
Hey.
Welcome back to Arts 24.
Thank you for having us back.
Now we're at the iconic Paris Olympia. It's one of the most famous venues in France. Legends only have played in this venue.
Man.
Now you're really well known for your live performances. There's so much energy on stage, a lot of sweat on and off stage.
Yeah.
What do you hope that fans take away from your shows?
I hope it brings joy to everyone. I hope that whatever people are going through before the show, whether they're on top of the world or whether they're in their lowest point ever, I hope that after our 90 minutes together, they leave just feeling a little bit better.
You're here with a new album as well. It's called Dance No One's Watching, and you seem to take the energy from the stage to the studio. The title is also kind of a command, I have to say. It's like, get up, get dancing. Why do you think that we're all so shy these days?
I think we're probably in the most comparative era ever. People are scared literally just because of the comparison to other people. You go on Instagram and you see someone else living their best life, having their best day, makes you feel a little bit self-conscious. That's going to translate into real life. And I've definitely felt that myself, you know, being someone when you're a kid, you know, you dance, you do whatever, you try and break dance in the family function, and then as you get older and older, you get a little bit more and more, you know, apprehensive to do those things. So I guess this album's a little bit of a, sometimes you need a bit of a command and a push and permission to go back to your childish self and just dance as if no one is watching.
I mean, yeah, to be cringe is to be free, as you could say,
Yo,
so gotta dance.
If I'd known that sentence before, I would have written a song about it. But yeah, honestly, it's just kind of like, we've become so obsessed with everyone else's opinion on our outward selves. It's robbed us of the moment.
Now, what I really love is the album cover. It really evokes this classic painting by Ernie Barnes called Sugar Shack. And in the image, everyone is super euphoric, everyone's dancing, living their best lives. Do you think that that painting best represents like the message of the album?
Yeah, 100%. I had a moment in Shibuya in Tokyo. I was in a vintage store trying to find clothes, and that picture was just massive on the wall. And it was like, you said, like, the title sounds like a command. That painting looks like a command to me. Yeah. Making it our own with a real picture and restaging, getting people in a room to dance, and we were playing in a real way and just taking pictures of that. Yeah. It's like we're trying to invite people into that party. It's the album cover, and it's like, are you gonna be one of those people in there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You look at everyone on that front cover, everyone's got their eyes closed, and it's amazing. And it's like, that's probably my favorite moment of our sets, when you look out to the crowd and they've actually just forgotten that there's a band and they've stopped watching you and they've just started dancing with one another.
One of the singles off the album is called Ajala, and it's named after a 1963 memoir of Nigerian writer Olabisi Ajala. Before we talk about the meaning behind the song, we'll take a quick listen to it. So that was Ajala by Ezra Collective. Now, tell me a bit more about this song and the reason why you chose to pay homage to this very important Nigerian writer.
He's a writer who's got a funny story where he essentially just jumped on his motorbike and decided to travel across Africa, I think it was, and it became slang back in Nigeria where we're from, where if someone's fidgeting and doesn't stop moving, they'll say Ajala the traveller. when you listen to that song in particular, it feels a bit unstable and a little bit like, you know, it could launch at any moment. I think it's the kind of song that's difficult to dance really well to, if that makes sense. So everyone looks a little bit silly when they're dancing to a song that's that fast, and something like that can be super liberating.
Now, speaking of Nigeria, you had a really amazing opportunity last year to play at Femi Kuti's legendary New African Shrine.
Yeah.
That was kind of built in the image of his late father, the icon himself, Fela Kuti. I read that was a very humbling moment for you. How so?
Oh, it changed our lives. You know, that was the first music I ever fell in love with, was Fela Kuti's music. It's been the staple of Ezra Collective since we met at a youth club together. So to get invited to play there was very, very special. It was just, you know, it's the reggae artist getting asked to play at Bob Marley's house. It's the funk artist getting asked to play at Prince's house. We got to go to Fela's house, and it was just life-changing.
It can be intimidating, I guess, where you go out there and there's a lot of people that are there who don't know who you are. And maybe that's the humbling part of it, where it's like, we've just got to come out and shell it as best as we can. And then midway through the show, Femi Kuti himself walked out and started playing along with us. And so that was definitely a moment for me where it's like, you can't have an ego in those moments, man. It's like an honor to even be setting foot in this place and playing music that means so much to us.
You set a bar very high for music venues.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
African
yeah.
Shrine, Paris, Olympia. Of course, Africa is very present on the album. Other cultures are also blended into your sound. But I understand that London is kind of at the heart of this record. How much inspiration did you take from your hometown?
I mean, yeah, you can hear just even by my accent, like Ezra Collective's music has the same accent. We live in London. Anytime you live somewhere, everything you do has that accent, if you like. One of the songs is N29, which is one of the night buses that goes from Trafalgar Square to the very most northern part of London. And so I guess the beauty of traveling and the world is how you can bring it back to your own perspective where you're from. And we get to come to amazing places like this, and in Africa, South America, everywhere we've been, but it always comes back to, I'm back home in London. So yeah, it's a big part of our identity that we're very proud of.
We'll take a quick listen to another track that really evokes London, in my opinion. It's called God Gave Me Feet for Dancing, and it features another London local, Yasmin Lacey. Take a listen.
Give me bassline, give me dollar wine. God gave me feet for dancing, and that's exactly what I do. Give me high life, give me good times. God gave me feet for dancing.
I want to ask you about the sense of community spirit that we kind of hear in your music. You actually met as a collective at a youth centre, a youth club. How did that impact you and your sound and who you are today as artists?
I think it impacted us by way of how we approach music, because when we came together, it was all very, not to use the word, but it was all very collective. Everything that we did was people older and further down the line to us, pouring into us and nurturing us in that way. And there was always this ethos of each one teach one. There was never, we were never too precious or pretentious about the work. It's about giving more than receiving. And it's like, how can we bring people through? How can we pour into people? How can we give opportunities? And so yes, there's an eye on us as a band, but there's always an eye on outside. How can this go slightly beyond the barriers of the five of us?
And actually, during your speech when you won the Mercury Prize in 2023, you talked about the importance of these youth centres. And at the time when you made that speech, funding for youth services in the UK had been cut by almost, I think, 70%. Mm-hmm. We're a year on with a new government. Did you feel hopeful about the future of youth services?
I feel hopeful in what we can do. And that's where my hope, attention and energy goes to. Rather than, you know, think, oh, new government, new youth centre. I'm thinking, you know, next week when we're somewhere in the UK, let's put on something for young people in that moment. Rather than depend on other people, what can we do? What can you do? What can you do? Do you know what I mean? That's kind of how we think about it. So I've got hope in what we're going to do and what we are doing.
Your win at the Mercury Awards was a massive milestone. You're the first jazz act to win. Why do you think it took so long for a band like Ezra Collective to take home that prize?
I think when you look at the Mercury Prize, and it's such an esteemed, award, and you look at who's been nominated for these awards over the year, I think pretty much every year you could look at, I think it's 12 nominees or people that are shortlisted. You could look through it and be like, man, they're all worthy winners. I think there was maybe just a little bit of an extra barrier when it came to jazz music, just because maybe not enough people had actually been exposed to it. When I was growing up, certainly jazz was something that was on a weird kind of pedestal where it's like, that's for them lot, I'm gonna go and listen to this stuff. And then it's like being introduced to it bit by bit and drip fed and you hear different acts from different places and you see that, oh, okay, Kano's on stage, but he's got these jazz musicians that are in his band and you got this influence here. And then even from the States where you see Kendrick Lamar's put out this album, but it's got Kamasi Washington on it. Bit by bit, you start to see this influence of jazz. It's now something that's on a lot of different people's palettes. And then maybe, at that point, people are open enough to a jazz act actually being looked at and being like, yeah, man, that's the album that could win. I mean, there's been plenty of people that have been shortlisted in the past. And it's, totally a blessing to, I guess, be the first band to step over that major wall and hurdle and actually win the award.
Now, before we wrap up, I have to ask you, because of course you called your album Dance No One's Watching. What is your go-to dance move?
I'm a two-step
Okay.
faithful, just side to side, in time, in rhythm. You very rarely get it wrong. You very rarely look bad. If it's going well, I might do the worm or something, but generally speaking, I try to keep it just left to right.
Yeah, on stage, I'm a bit different. I just jump. I jump a lot.
Okay, that's a move.
Reason. I don't know. There's something liberating about just jumping, man. Like every now and again, just you're walking down the street, just jump as high as you can. It's just mad liberating.
Well, mine is big box, little box. I'm trying to bring it back. I'm trying to bring it back.
I might do that tonight. Do you know what I mean? Put my drumsticks down and tribute to yourself.
Thank you very much. Well, Femi and TJ, thank you for speaking to us on France
Thank you
24.
for your time.